Cyber Monday, 11/26/2012. Good morning, everyone. This is the full day of the markets coming back online from the Thanksgiving holiday. So you had Black Friday, we have all of the retail stocks in the red. Ross Stores probably is holding up, but for the most part, when you take a look at Costco here, it's down 1.64% net change. Okay, these are the retail stocks. Nordstrom's at 5509, down 2.58%. Look at this is the retail index. It's called the Morgan Stanley Retail Index, and we can see that hey, some of these retail stocks are having a hard time. However, shoppers are outspending at record levels. One of the things that we want to emphasize here is that ANN and Taylor, these are all negative net change from, the close. Some of them had a gap open down even, not by much. However, when we take a look at the core element, we're going to see why the retail is underperforming. And we were down at one time 109 handles on the Dow and whatnot. So you got the tech run and you got retail, which is normally the greatest part of the season here, is in the red. It's all right here. I'm showing it. Dillard's, well, they're only down slightly. Costco, though, Bed Bath & Beyond down 1.88% at 5903 is the last print. So we'll look for some trades in this sector. The Ross Stores, on the other hand, 56.33. It's not down on the day. It's one of the better retailers. TJX we like to cover, but it's down 1.53%. So that's one that we like on dips. My point being is, and Walmart's down slightly too. So this is the group that we're taking a look at. As far as the consumer area goes, the CMR.X, we're seeing some red over here. So the Morgan Stanley consumer and Morgan Stanley retail, the retail is getting hit. The energy side of things, the gold and silver update is all in the red as far as gold and silver goes today. Well, Morgan Stanley commodity related stocks, the CRX.X, all in the red for the most part. But once again, until China comes back on board, why do we want to own them? We don't. Let's take a look at the energy complex, the DXE.E. We cover a lot. It's all in the red. There are some great stocks in here to look for in pullbacks, but they're all in the red. Morgan Stanley Oil Services, in that area, it's kind of mixed. Oil services in general, a lot of those have a small negative red print, negative changes like RIG and CAM, and you got Diamond Offshore in here. Not a lot, but then not a lot of conviction. Food and agriculture things on the restaurant side. We look in here because of retail. These are our restaurant stocks. Buffalo Wild Wings is in here. Okay, you have Darden in here. You have CMG in here, which is down today. So you have Cheesecake Factory in here. It's just about even. Papa John's is about even in the pizza area. But nonetheless, they're all restaurant stocks. They're not outperforming this rally. One of the other things that we'll take a look at is the Morgan Stanley Healthcare. And some of them have negative net changes to them across the board as well. So when we just looking at technology, we look at the CBOE internet stocks. They all have a slight gain to them. CBOE technology index, with Apple being the leader, it's 2.97% up on the day. You have some key areas in here that people trade. Qualcomm was down today slightly, but this is just a technology area. It's a little bit flat. Credit Suisse First Boston, that's the CTN.X. It's a mixed bag all the way down in that chain today. So it's very mixed. Computer technology, on the other hand, well, in this particular sector, the XCI.X, well, we're holding about equal, let's say. In the disk drives, Well, there's not much going on over here anymore. SanDisk is a leader here at $40, and it's up a slight little bit on the day. Dow Jones, the Internet Conference. Okay, you got Priceline in here. That's down on the day, but notice you got Amazon up on the day. So there, and you got eBay up on the day in this area, but you got Priceline down on the day. And Google, well, it's about equal with Priceline. Both are about 1.36% negative, or change from the open negative. Right now, the net change is only 0.37% on Priceline and 0.71% on Netflix. We're looking at that Netflix, and Google's at 0.51%. That's negative change percent level. And the volumes are right there. So we can see what's going on there. One of the other things that we're going to look at very briefly on this mid-morning update, it's 10:23 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, financial services. Let's take a look at the S&P banking sector. Right here, the BIX.X. It's a mixed bag. There's no real big conviction in there. The Nasdaq banking sector, which is very broad-based and lots of diversification within the banking sector. It's very, very long in nature today. And it is, let's say, there are some little bright spots in between the negative and the positive. They're probably about flat to even. And I already would like to tell you about the KBW banking, which is also a mixed bag. Okay. One of the things that we'll take a look at is where the Morgan Stanley Biotech is, which is some of the bigger names. We love AMZN in here. Okay. Biogen's really done a great move. There's a lot of companies that have been taken over in this sector. That's where the NAs are. So once again, a lot of them have been bought out. That's why it says NA over the time frame. Nasdaq Biotech, which is a broader base, NBI .X. It's got a fairly decent tone to it versus negative tone. It's about equally weighted. The drug index, where people have been piling into of late, well, you can see the net changes are all slightly negative here now. In the Philadelphia, that's the RXS.X in here. The pharmaceuticals in their own nature all have a negative tone today, but they work well under Obama. It's just that a lot of them are in overbought ranges in some cases. The Dow Jones Composite. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Composite. DJC. Well, you can see that this particular GJC there, Dow Jones Composite, it's got a little bit more green than negative, but it's fairly decently weighted mixed bag here. Dow Jones Industrial Average, which we know was way down on the day. You can see the culprits in here. Coca-Cola being one, McDonald's being another. What would be another one? American Express has got a drag on the index. So does T. That's this one right here, AT&T. That's got a little drag on the index. One of the things that we'll tell you about is why they're flat. They're all flat still, but they got a slight negative bias to it. Dow Jones Transportations, of course, we're always looking at that. It finally has a positive tone to it. You need the transports to work. Utilities, well, we already know what they were doing. They're all positive today because they were oversold. Because they were. And one of the things that we wanted to let you know is some of the Nasdaq banking, which we already covered. But here's your Nasdaq 100 picture. NDX.X, which is up 3 handles today. We have leadership names in here. Apple leading the way, which is giving the Nasdaq 100 a pop. We have Amazon leading the way in this. We also have another mover over here called eBay in the Nasdaq 100, so we know where the Nasdaq 100 upside players are. And then on the flip side, though, you got WFM down in the Nasdaq 100. You got Wynn, the casino. He's down because Macau isn't working out as good as they'd like it, meaning that their comps will come down. PRGO, which is down today. So basically, you got ISRG, which is a stock that's been in a certain range. It's down and weighing on the Nasdaq 100. And so is Priceline, as we know, in this index right here. And Google, we know, is 1.6, not 1.7% negative rating on here. Here are the net change columns, change from the open columns, percent levels. That's what we look at. One of the bright spots I told you was eBay. So, nonetheless, Apple is the main driver of the index. We were oversold in a lot of these stocks. Baidu is weighing on this index, so that's your Nasdaq 100. And Nasdaq Telecom, which is important. The telecom is always important. You got quite a bit of green here in the telecom area, and you got a lot of red. So I would say net, it's about balanced even. You'd like to see telecom going higher this time of year. Nasdaq transports, on the other hand, the TRANX, well, TRAN, you got a mixed bag here. But once again, even in the Nasdaq transports, you got more of a weighting to the upside than the negative. And SBLK is a big mover here. Another big mover that we like, NEWL. It's a little penny stock, but people buy them. We don't. But we like to see where some of those little companies one day will make it to the Nasdaq bigger weighting indexes. This is just a Nasdaq transports, and there's lots of companies you can see in here. And it's got a slight bias to the upside. Nasdaq Other Finance, Nasdaq Composite. Well, Nasdaq Composite and the other finances is about a mixed bag. There are various different ones that are weighted in this particular one. And the Nasdaq Financials 100, IXF. These are the financials of the 100 financial stocks in the composite. So that you got an index of 100 financials on the Nasdaq Composite. And you can see here, in my view, right now, we're weighted at about even. There's not a lot more selling. There's not a lot more buying. They're kind of flat. Remember that we entered into bear territory in the best 2 months of the year, November and December. I'm giving the mid-update broad-based as to what we should be looking for and how their performances are so that we will have a better weighting as we move forward, particularly in the retail sector on Cyber Monday getting hammered.